All right, let's get real for a moment. You're sitting here in this room or watching this on a screen, probably thinking about your next meeting, your next meal, or maybe even your next trip to Mars. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you thought about the machine that's carrying you through all of that? Not your phone, not your car, not even a rocket. I'm talking about your body, this incredible, complex biological hardware that's running 24/7, no downtime, no factory reset. Most of us treat it like an old pickup truck. We drive it hard, fuel it with whatever's cheap, and only pay attention when the engine starts smoking. That's not how you build a civilization on Mars, and it's sure as hell not how you live to 100 with a brain sharp enough to solve the universe's toughest problems. I'm Musk Doctor, not just a doctor, but a guy who spent decades obsessing over systems, whether they're electric cars, reusable rockets, or the 37 trillion cells in your body. My mission? To make humanity not just survive, but thrive on Earth, on Mars, wherever we go next. And today I'm here to talk about something so basic, so fundamental. It's been hiding in plain sight for centuries: hygiene. Not the kind your mom nagged you about, but a radical first principles approach to maintaining your body's hardware. I'm going to show you how cleaning 5 overlooked body parts, your tongue, feet, armpits, nose, and yes, even your belly button, can hack your health, boost your brain, and add years to your life. This isn't about vanity or feeling fresh. It's about engineering your body to run like a Tesla Mo 1 Do S, efficient, durable, and ready for the long haul. Let's start with a hard truth. Most of us are terrible at maintaining our bodies. We shower, brush our teeth, maybe slap on some deodorant, and call it a day. But that's like running a SpaceX Falcon 9. With only half its engines firing, you're not going to orbit, and you're definitely not landing on a drone ship. New research is screaming at us. Poor hygiene in specific areas doesn't just cause bad breath or itchy skin. It's linked to chronic inflammation, heart disease, diabetes complications, and cognitive decline. One study from the American Heart Association found that oral bacterial, the stuff on your tongue, can travel through your bloodstream and contribute to arterial plaque buildup. That's a heart attack waiting to happen. Another report from the National Institutes of Health tied neglected foot hygiene to infections that spiral into amputations for 20% of diabetic patients. And don't get me started on how a clogged nose can starve your brain of oxygen, fogging your thinking faster than a bad Neuralink prototype. This isn't abstract. This is personal. Let me take you back to a moment that changed how I think about my body. A few years ago, I was burning the midnight oil at Tesla, pushing for a production deadline. I was chugging coffee, sleeping 3 hours a night, and my throat felt like I'd swallowed a sandpaper factory. I thought it was just stress, or a virus nothing a genius billionaire couldn't power through, but it kept getting worse: sore throat, foggy brain, even my voice started cracking during meetings. I'm trying to explain battery cell chemistry to engineers, and I sound like a teenager at a karaoke bar, not exactly inspiring. Um, so I did what I always do. I went to first principles. I broke down the problem. Was it diet, sleep, air quality in the factory? Then, one morning, I caught a glimpse of my tongue in the mirror. It looked like a petri dish gone rogue white coating, patchy, gross. I'd been brushing my teeth like a robot, but I hadn't touched my tongue in ever. I dove into the data. Turns out your tongue is a bacterial metropolis, over 700 species, some good, some straight up villains. If you don't clean it, those bad actors sneak into your bloodstream through tiny cuts in your gums, especially as you age. They can inflame your arteries, mess with your immune system, even dull your taste buds so your morning smoothie tastes like cardboard. I was skeptical, but I'm not one to ignore evidence. So I grabbed a tongue, scraper knot, some fancy gadget, just a $5 piece of metal from a drugstore, and started scraping morning and night, 30 seconds, no big deal. Within a week, my throat cleared up, my energy spiked. I could taste the bitterness in my espresso again, which, let me tell you, is a religious experience when you've been living on autopilot. But the real kicker? My focus sharpened. I was back to solving problems at warp speed, like I'd upgraded my brain's RAM. That was my wake-up call. If a guy like me, someone who's built rockets that land themselves and cars that drive themselves, could miss something this basic, what else are we all missing? I started digging deeper, not just into my own health, but into the systems that keep humanity running. Your body isn't just a vehicle, it's the most advanced tech you'll ever own. And like any tech, it needs maintenance, random hacks, but precise, intentional upgrades. That's what these 5 body parts are about. They're not just skin and muscle, they're leverage points, like the thrusters on a Starship. Clean them right, and you optimize your entire system circulation, immunity, brain power, longevity. Ignore them, and you're inviting bugs in the code, infections, inflammation, a brain that lags when you need it most. Now, let's talk about why this matters more than ever. We're living in a world that's throwing curveballs, pandemics, climate shifts, AI revolutions. Your body has to keep up. If you're dragging through life with low energy, bad sleep, or a heart that's ticking like a time bomb, you're not going to be the one solving the big problems. You're not going to be the one colonizing Mars or cracking quantum computing. And don't think this is just about old folks. I'm talking to the 20 somethings coding at 3 a.m., the 40-year-olds juggling startups and kids, the 70-year-olds who want to hike with their grandkids. Edge doesn't matter, systems do. The same principles that make a Tesla battery last 500,000 miles apply to your body. Small, consistent inputs, 3 minutes a day, can compound into decades of high performance. So, what's the big idea? Hygiene isn't about looking good or smelling nice. It's about engineering your body to run at peak capacity. Think of it like over-the-air updates for your Tesla. You don't see the code, but suddenly your car is faster, smoother, smarter. Cleaning these five body parts is your over-the-air update for your biology. It's not sexy, but it's powerful. And it's not about buying $200 skincare or high-tech gadgets, though, full disclosure, I've got my team at XAI working on a smart tongue scraper that syncs with your health app. For now, all you need is a few bucks, a little discipline, and a willingness to rethink what you've been doing wrong for years. Let's zoom out for a second. Why do we suck at this? Because we're stuck in 20th century thinking. We treat our bodies like they're still running on 1920s software when life expectancy was 60 and nobody cared about microbiome or oxidative stress. Back then, a shower and a toothbrush were cutting edge. But today, we're sequencing genomes, printing organs, wiring brains to computers. Yet, most of us are still cleaning our bodies like we're prepping for a Model T road trip. That's not just lazy, it's a design flaw. At SpaceX, if we used 1920s tech to build rockets, we'd still be crashing into the ocean. So why are we okay with 1920s hygiene for the most important machine we've got? Here's where it gets fun. I'm not here to lecture you about soap and water. I'm here to give you a framework, a first principles playbook for hacking your health. Each of these five body parts is a node in your body's network, like servers in a data center. Optimize them, and you boost the whole system. Your tongue filters bacteria that could crash your immune system. Your feet stabilize your mobility and flag circulation issues before they become heart attacks. Your armpits and nose are firewalls, keeping toxins and pathogens from hacking your lymph nodes and lungs. Even your belly button, yeah, that weird little devote is a sensor for infections that could spiral if you're not paying attention. Together, they're a closed loop system, like the life support on a Mars habitat. Neglect one, and the whole thing starts to wobble. Now, I know what you're thinking. Musk, I'm busy. I've got deadlines, kids, a startup, or maybe I'm just trying to survive Monday. I don't have time to obsess over my belly button. Fair point, but let me counter with this. Every minute you spend now saves you hours, years, even down the line. Think of it like preventative maintenance on a Tesla. You don't wait for the battery to die before you charge it. You don't wait for a rocket to explode before you check the O-rings. So why wait for a heart attack, a stroke, or a foggy brain before you start taking care of your body? 3 minutes a day, that's 0.2% of your waking hours, can cut your risk of chronic disease by double digits. That's not my opinion. That's data from the CDC and NIH. If I told you a $5 tool could boost your productivity by 20%, you'd buy it faster than a Cybertruck pre-order. So why not invest in your own hardware? Let's talk about the stakes. We're not just fighting for a few extra years, we're fighting for a life where you're sharp, energized, and ready to tackle the impossible. I've seen what happens when you don't prioritize this. I've watched brilliant engineers burn out because their bodies couldn't keep up with their brains. I've seen friends lose their edge because they thought toughing it out was enough. Hell, I almost lost mine. That sore throat wasn't just a nuisance, it was a warning light, like the check engine on a car. If I hadn't listened, I might not be standing here today telling you how to hack your way to 100. So, here's the deal. Over the next four parts, I'm going to break down each of these five body parts, why they matter, how to clean them, and how they'll supercharge your life. I'll give you the science, the stories, and the tools, all grounded in first principles. No fluff, no dogma, just what works. And I'll throw in a few tricks we're cooking up at XAI and Neuralink to make this even easier, because if we can land a rocket on a floating platform, we can damn well make hygiene frictionless. But before we dive into the tongue, and trust me, it's a wild ride. I want you to do one thing. Close your eyes for a second. Picture yourself at Nidio, still sharp, still curious, still building, Still dreaming. Maybe you're coding the next big thing, hiking with your kids, or watching a SpaceX launch from Mars. That's not a fantasy. It's a system you can engineer starting today. 3 minutes, 5 body parts, one mission to make your body and brain the ultimate platform for changing the world. All right, eyes open. Let's get to work. First up, your tongue, the gateway to your health and the most underrated piece of tech in your body. Buckle up. All right, let's dive into the first piece of your body's hidden tech, your tongue. Yeah, that pink, squishy thing you use to taste tacos or argue with your boss. Most of us think it's just a tool for eating or talking, but I'm here to blow your mind. Your tongue isn't just a muscle, it's a gateway. It's the front door to your health, your brain, your heart, even your longevity. And if you're not cleaning it right, you're leaving that door wide open for bugs, crashes, and system failures that could take you offline way sooner than you're ready for. I'm Musk Doctor, and today I'm going to show you how 3 minutes a day with this underrated organ can supercharge your performance and keep you in the game. Whether you're coding at 2 a.m. or planning humanity's next leap to the stars. Let's start with a first principles breakdown. What is your tongue, really? It's not just a taste bud factory, it's a living ecosystem, home to over 700 species of microorganisms. Think of it as a microbial metropolis right in your mouth. Some of these bacteria are chill, helping you digest food or fight off invaders, but others, they're like rogue AI, multiplying unchecked, sneaking into your bloodstream through tiny cuts in your gums, especially as you age. Once they're in, they can wreak havoc, inflaming your arteries, spiking your risk of heart disease, messing with your immune system, even dulling your brain's processing power. A 2020 study in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology found that oral bacteria left to fester on your tongue can contribute to atherosclerosis shortened arteries that choke your heart. Another from the National Institutes of Health linked poor oral hygiene to a 30% higher risk of respiratory infections. And don't even get me started on cognitive decline. Your brain needs clean data, not bacterial noise clogging the signal. This isn't theoretical. I learned it the hard way. A while back, I was deep in the Neuralink trenches trying to wire human brains to computers, insane hours, endless coffee, barely sleeping. One day, I noticed my taste buds were shot. My morning protein shake, usually a burst of berry goodness, tasted like wet cardboard. I thought it was just stress or a bad batch, but then my throat started burning and my focus tanked. I'm trying to debug neural implants, and my brain's running at 10% capacity, like a Tesla on a dying battery. So I did what I do. I tore the problem apart. I read the research, consulted microbiologists, even ran a quick swab of my tongue pep. I'm that guy. The results? A bacterial overload, like a server farm infected with malware. I'd been brushing my teeth like a champ, but my tongue? Untouched. A petri dish of chaos. That was my light bulb moment. If I'm building tech to merge humans with AI, I can't ignore the hardware I'm starting with. So I got to work. I didn't just grab a toothbrush that's like using a sledgehammer to crack a walnut. I designed a tongue scraper, not some mass-produced plastic junk, but a sleek titanium alloy tool, precision engineered for maximum bacterial removal. Overkill? Maybe. But I'm the guy who lands rockets on barges, so go big or go home. I started scraping 30 seconds in the morning, 30 at night. Within days, my taste buds woke up, my throat cleared, my brain fog lifted, like I'd overclocked my CPU. I was back to solving problems at light speed, and my team noticed. One engineer even asked if I'd hacked my sleep cycle. Nope, just my tongue. Here's why this matters. Your tongue is your body's first line of defense, like the firewall on a SpaceX network. Every bite, every breath, every word you speak passes through it. If it's coated in bacterial sludge, you're not just risking bad breath, though, let's be real. That's a social killer. You're compromising your entire system. Think of it like a dirty sensor on a self-driving car. One speck of grime, and the whole vehicle veers off course. Your tongue's grime can dull your sense of taste, so you're not enjoying life's flavors, your coffee, your steak, your kid's birthday cake. Worse, it can weaken your immune system, leaving you open to infections that sap your energy, and those bacteria don't stay put. They hitch a ride through your bloodstream, inflaming your heart, your lungs, even your brain. A 2019 Alzheimer's Research and Therapy study suggested oral bacteria may contribute to amyloid plaques, those nasty clumps tied to dementia. That's not a bug you want in your system. So, how do you fix it? Let's talk execution, because ideas are cheap, but results are everything. Cleaning your tongue isn't rocket science, but it's got to be deliberate, like calibrating a Starship thruster. Here's the playbook, grounded in science and tested by yours truly. Get the right tool. Ditch the toothbrush it's too clumsy, like using a paint roller for a circuit board. Grab a tongue scraper, ideally metal for durability. I'm working on a smart version at XAI that tracks bacterial load and syncs with your health app, but for now, a $5 drugstore model works. Scrape smart. Morning first, your tongue's been marinating in bacteria all night. Stand at the sink, stick your tongue out, and scrape gently from back to front, 3 to 4 passes. Don't go Hulk mode, you're cleaning, not sanding. You'll see a white or yellow film come off, that's the bad stuff. Nighttime, go lighter. Your tongue's sensitive after a day of talking and eating. Rinse like you mean it. Use water or an antibacterial mouthwash. Look for one with chlorhexidine if you want to go hardcore. I'm prototyping a nanoparticle rinse at XAI that targets specific pathogens, but plain water does the job for now. Swish and spit to flush the debris. Time it right. Morning scrape before breakfast to clear overnight buildup. Night scrape after your last meal to prep your system for sleep. Total time? 1 minute, tops. If I can find 60 seconds between Neuralink and SpaceX, so can you. What's the payoff? Let's talk numbers, because I'm a data guy. Studies show regular tongue cleaning can cut oral bacteria by up to 80%, slashing your risk of gum disease and related heart issues. Taste sensitivity improves in as little as 2 weeks. Imagine your morning smoothie hitting like a flavor rocket. Your immune system gets a break, freeing up energy for your brain to crush it, whether you're coding, parenting, or just enjoying life. And bad breath? Gone. I've got a story about a guy on my Tesla team, let's call him Joe. Brilliant engineer, but his breath could clear a room. He was too embarrassed to present in meetings. I slipped him a scraper and a 30-second pep talk. 2 weeks later, he's pitching to investors, confidence through the roof, and nobody's holding their nose. That's the power of a small tweak. Now, let's get futuristic. At XAI, we're not just stopping at scrapers. We're building a health ecosystem. Think Neuralink for your microbiome. Picture this, a tiny sensor in your scraper that analyzes bacterial DNA in real time, pinging your phone with alerts if something's off, like, yo, your streptococcus levels are spiking, rinse now. Pair that with a Neuralink implant, and you could optimize your brain's response to inflammation before it even starts. That's the kind of closed loop system I'm after, not just for me, but for everyone. Because if we're going to colonize Mars, we need bodies that can handle the ride. Here's the kicker. You don't need my fancy tech to start. This is a hack anyone can pull off. $5, 1 minute, massive ROI. But you've got to commit. Most people fail because they half-ass it, like launching a rocket with untested code. Be relentless. Make it a ritual, like charging your Tesla or checking your Starlink signal. And watch for red flags. Persistent soreness, white patches, or weird colors on your tongue could mean trouble. I had a scare once, a stubborn patch that turned out to be a mild fungal infection from too much stress and sugar. A quick doctor visit and a better routine fixed it, but it was a reminder your body's always talking. Listen. Why am I obsessed with this? Because your tongue isn't just about health, it's about life. It's how you savor a meal with friends, articulate a world-changing idea, or kiss someone you love. It's the interface between your inner world and the universe. Neglect it, and you're dimming your experience, like running a 4K movie on a blurry screen. Optimize it, and you're amplifying everything, your energy, your clarity, your joy. I'm not here to help you live to 100 just to shuffle through it. I want you thriving, building, dreaming, pushing humanity forward. So that's the tongue, your gateway to a sharper brain and a stronger heart. Next up, we're going to your feet, the foundation of your mobility and a secret weapon for longevity. They're not just for walking, they're your early warning system for everything from diabetes to heart disease. And yeah, I've got a story about how ignoring mine almost cost me a Neuralink demo. Stay with me. This is just the beginning of hacking your body for the future. Let's shift gears. We've tackled the tongue, your body's gateway, the firewall for your brain and heart. Now we're dropping down to the ground floor, your feet. These aren't just the things you shove into sneakers or curse when they ache after a long day. Your feet are the foundation of your existence, the literal base that keeps you moving, standing, exploring. They're the thrusters on your personal starship, the unsung heroes that carry your 200 pounds or whatever you're working with through every step of your mission. But here's the kicker. Most of us treat our feet like afterthoughts, rinsing them in the shower and calling it good. That's like launching a rocket without checking the landing gear. I'm Musk Doctor, and today I'm going to show you why your feet are your body's most critical sensor sand. how 3 minutes a day can keep them from grounding your dreams, whether you're chasing a startup, a marathon, or a colony on Mars. First, let's break it down to first principles. Your feet are engineering marvels: 26 bones, 33 joints, over 100 muscles, tendons, and ligaments in each one. That's a quarter of your body's bones packed into a space smaller than a laptop. They're not just for walking, they're a dynamic system for balance, propulsion, and feedback. Every step sends data to your brain: terrain, pressure, stability, like the gyroscopes on a Falcon 9. But they're also your body's early warning system. Poor circulation? Your feet feel it first, with swelling or cold toes. Diabetes? Redness or numbness in your feet can signal trouble before your blood sugar spikes. Neuropathy, heart issues, infections, they all show up in your feet long before they crash your system. A 2022 study from the American Diabetes Association found that 50% of diabetic foot infections start with neglected hygiene and 20% end in amputations. That's not a glitch, that's a system failure. This hit me hard a few years ago. I was at Neuralink demoing a brain-computer interface for investor shy stakes. A big moment. I'd been on my feet for 18 hours, ignoring a nagging pain in my heel. Mid-presentation, I took a step and nearly buckled. My foot was screaming, swollen, red, and hot, like I'd stepped on a live wire. I powered through, but I was sweating bullets, not from nerves, but from pain. Later, I checked it out. Turns out I'd been half-assing my foot: hygiene quick rinses, damp socks, no inspection. A tiny crack between my toes had let bacteria in, and I was one step from a full-blown infection. Me, the guy who obsesses over every bolt on a Starship, almost derailed a $1 billion pitch because I ignored my feet. That was my wake-up call. If I'm going to wire brains to computers, I'd better make sure the foundation me feet can carry me there. Let's talk about why feet are a big deal. Especially as you age, your body's like a skyscraper. If the base is shaky, everything above your posture, joints, heart starts to crumble. As we get older, circulation slows, like a Tesla battery losing range. Your feet, being farthest from your heart, feel it first. Blood flow drops, healing slows, and suddenly a small cut or damp toe becomes a petri dish for fungi or bacteria. Add in 10,000 steps a day, about 5 miles for the average American, and your feet are under constant stress. Neglect them, and you're rolling the dice on infections, falls, even chronic pain that can bench you for life. The Journal of Gerontology says poor foot health doubles your risk of falls after 50, and falls are the leading cause of injury-related deaths in older adults. That's not just a health issue. That's a mission ender. But it's not just about avoiding disaster. Your feet are your ticket to freedom: physical, mental, creative. Think about it. Every adventure, every breakthrough starts with a step. When I walked the Tesla factory floor to solve a production bottleneck, my feet carried me. When I paced the SpaceX control room during a launch, my feet kept me grounded. If they're failing, you're not iterating, exploring, or pushing boundaries. You're stuck, and I don't do stuck. Neither should you. So, how do you optimize this foundation? It's not about pedicures or $200 sneakers, though. I'm not knocking a good pair of boots. It's about precision maintenance, like tuning a Cybertruck for off-road. Here's the protocol, built from science and my own trial and error. Wash with intent. Don't just let shower water trickle over your feet. That's like hoping a car wash cleans your engine. Sit down, grab a soft washcloth, and use mild, fragrance-free soap. Scrub the tops, soles, and especially between your toes, where bacteria and fungi set up shop. Use warm water, about 90 degrees Fahrenheit, not scalding, to avoid drying your skin. Think of it like cleaning a Starship's heat shield. Thorough, but gentle. Takes 1 minute. Dry like your life depends on it. Wet feet are a breeding ground for trouble, like a damp server room frying circuits. Use a clean, soft towel, dedicate one for your feet to avoid cross-contamination. Pat dry, lifting each toe to get every crevice. Don't rub hard, you're not sanding wood. If you skip this, you're inviting athlete's foot, or worse. I learned this the hard way when that heel pain turned out to be fungal. 30 seconds, done. Moisturize strategically. Aging skin loses moisture, especially on your feet, leading to cracks that let bacteria in. Apply a thin layer of fragrance-free lotion to the tops and soles. Think Vaseline or CeraVe, nothing fancy. Skip the toes. Trapped moisture, there is a fungal party waiting to happen. Massage it in to boost circulation, like priming a rocket's fuel lines. 30 seconds. Inspect daily. Your feet are sensors, check them, like you check a Tesla's diagnostics. Look for redness, swelling, cuts, or tingling. Use a mirror or a phone camera if bending's tough. I'm working on a Neuralink powered foot scanner that flags issues via AI, but for now, your eyes work fine. Catch problems early and you avoid a system crash. 1 minute. Total time, 3 minutes. The payoff, massive. Studies show proper foot hygiene cuts infection risk by 70%, improves balance, and boosts circulation, which means more oxygen for your brain and heart. You'll walk taller, think clearer, sleep deeper, because poor circulation messes with your REM cycles, and I need my dreams to solve problems. Plus, you'll dodge the $50,000 hospital bills tied to diabetic foot complications. That's a Cybertruck down payment saved. Here's a real-world example. One of my SpaceX engineers, Sarah, was a marathon runner, 55, tough as nails. But she started limping, missing deadlines, looking drained. I noticed her wincing during a factory tour. Turns out she'd been ignoring a callus that cracked and got infected, classic neglect. I gave her my foot protocol, plus a prototype IoT sensor we're testing at XAI that tracks foot temperature for early infection signs. 2 weeks later, she's back to running 10 miles and crushing her work. Her focus, her energy, her life all back online because she stopped treating her feet like spare parts. Now, let's go futuristic. At XAI, we're not just cleaning feet, we're re engineering health. Imagine smart socks with embedded sensors, monitoring pressure, moisture, and blood flow, pinging your phone if something's off, like, hey, your left heel's too damp, dry it now. Pair that with a Neuralink chip, and you could get real time feedback on nerve signals, catching neuropathy before it slows you down. We're also exploring bioengineered soaps with nanoparticles that target specific pathogens without wrecking your skin's microbiome. This isn't sci fi, it's the next frontier, like reusable rockets were a decade ago. But you don't need my tech yet. 3 minutes, a washcloth, a towel, and some lotion, that's your launch pad. Make it non negotiable, like a pre flight checklist, and watch for warning signs: persistent swelling, numbness, or sores that don't heal. I ignored a tingling toe once, thinking it was just fatigue. Turned out to be a circulation issue tied to too many all nighters. A quick doctor visit and better foot care fixed it, but it was a reminder: your feet don't lie, listen to them. Why do I care? Because your feet aren't just about mobility, they're about possibility. They carried me through the Tesla Gigafactory when we were bleeding cash, through SpaceX when we nearly went bankrupt, through Neuralink when the world said brain implants were crazy. They'll carry you to your next big idea, your next adventure, your next step toward the stars. Neglect them, and you're grounding your mission. Optimize them, and you're unstoppable on Earth, on Mars, wherever humanity goes next. Next up, your armpits and nose, the firewalls of your immune system and the gatekeepers of your breath. They're not just about sweat or sniffles, they're your body's defense against a chaotic world. And yeah, I've got a story about how a stuffy nose almost tanked a SpaceX launch. Stay tuned, this ride's just getting started. We've rewired the tongue to supercharge your brain and fortified your feet to keep your mission grounded. Now, let's zoom in on two stealth players in your body's defense network: your armpits and your nose. These aren't just sweaty pits or sniffle zones, they're your biological firewalls, the sentinels that filter toxins, shield your immune system, and keep your mind razor sharp. Most people slap on deodorant, blow their nose, and move on, but that's like securing a SpaceX server with a post-it note password. I'm Musk Doctor, and I'm here to show you how 3 minutes a day can turn your armpits and nose into a fortress, protecting your health and fueling your drive to conquer the impossible, whether it's a startup, a marathon, or a Martian sunrise. Let's break it down to first principles. Your armpits and nose are more than skin and snot, they're critical nodes in your body's security system. Your armpits house over 20 lymph nodes, tiny powerhouses that filter waste, neutralize pathogens, and keep your immune system humming. Think of them as the cooling system in a Tesla battery pack, quietly managing heat so the car doesn't explode. Neglect them, and sweat, bacteria, and deodorant gunk clog the works, sparking inflammation or infections that tax your body's resources. A 2021 study in lymphatic research and biology linked poor underarm hygiene to lymphatic congestion, which can weaken immunity and even mimic early cancer symptoms. That's not a minor bug, that's a system-wide lag. Your nose, meanwhile, is your air intake manifold, a natural HEPA filter that sifts dust, allergens, and bacteria before they hit your lungs. It humidifies and warms every one of your 20,000 daily breaths, delivering clean oxygen to your brain and body. But let it clog with mucus, or pollutants, and you're choking your engine. A 2023 American Journal of Respiratory Medicine report tied poor nasal hygiene to a 40% higher risk of sinus infections and reduced cerebral oxygen flow, which fogs your thinking faster than a bad Neuralink calibration. Your armpits and nose aren't just about comfort, they're the gatekeepers of your immunity and clarity. And in a world of pandemics and pollution, they're working overtime. This isn't abstract for me. I learned it the hard way during a SpaceX launch prep. We were T minus 48 hours from sending a Starlink satellite up, and I was running on fumes meetings, code reviews, the works. My nose was stuffed, like someone poured concrete in my sinuses. I couldn't breathe right, couldn't sleep right, and my brain was slogging through molasses. I figured it was just allergies or launch stress, but it got worse. During a final briefing, I sneezed mid-sentence, and my armpits, despite layers of deodorant, were radiating a vibe that said, "This guy's not in control." Embarrassing? Sure. But the real problem was deeper. My focus was shot, and I nearly missed a critical trajectory error that could have crashed the mission. Post-launch, I dug in. My nose was a mess from neglected hygiene dust and pollen buildup from factory visits. My armpits? A swamp of bacteria and antiperspirant residue clogging my lymph nodes and stressing my system. I was a walking case study in how small oversights can derail big dreams. That was my pivot point. If I'm going to build tech that takes humanity to Mars, I can't let my body's firewalls fail. So I went full Musk. I researched, experimented, and built a better system. For my nose, I designed a smart saline sprayer. Think of it as a Starship fuel injector for your sinuses, with AI adjusted pressure to clear blockages without irritation. For my armpits, I worked with XAI to prototype a nanoparticle soap that targets bacteria while preserving your skin's microbiome. Overkill? Maybe. But within a week of optimizing my routine, my breathing cleared, my energy spiked, and I was back to crushing 16-hour days without breaking a sweat, literally. Here's why this matters. Your armpits and nose are your body's first line of defense in a chaotic world. Every day you're bombarded with microbes, pollutants, and stressors. Think of them as cosmic debris hitting a starship's heat shield. Your lymph nodes and nasal passages are designed to take the hit, but only if you keep them clean. Clogged armpits trap toxins, leading to rashes, infections, or worse, lymphatic overload that weakens your immune response. A blocked nose forces you to mouth breathe, drying your throat, spiking infection risk, and starving your brain of oxygen. That's not just a stuffy nose, that's a 10% drop in cognitive performance per a Journal of Neuroscience study. In a world where every edge counts, you can't afford that. So, how do you lock down these firewalls? It's not about fancy products or hours in the bathroom, it's about precision, like tuning a Tesla suspension. Here's the protocol, battle tested by me and grounded in science. Armpits, wash with strategy. In the shower, use warm water about 95 degrees Fahrenheit to open pores. Grab a soft washcloth and a mild, fragrance-free soap like Cetaphil. Scrub in circles, then up, down, then side to side, like polishing a rocket's nose cone. This hits every angle without irritating your skin. Rinse until the water runs. Clear soap residue is a bacterial magnet. Takes 1 minute. Armpits, dry with care. Step out and pat dry. With a clean towel, dedicate one for your armpits to avoid spreading germs. Don't rub, you're not buffing a Cybertruck. Let your armpits air out for 30 seconds before deodorant to prevent irritation. Damp pits breed bacteria like a wet circuit board shorting out. 30 seconds. Nose, rinse to reset. Start your day with a saline spray. Think of it as a power wash for your sinuses. Use a store-bought version or mix 1 teaspoon non-iodized salt with 2 cups distilled water. Spray each nostril twice, gently sniffing to clear dust and mucus. For deeper cleaning, try a neti pot, but keep it sterile of bacteria. In tap water, it can cause rare but nasty infections. Takes 1 minute. Nose, steam and maintain. At night, inhale steam from a hot shower or a bowl of water, about 110 degrees Fahrenheit, not boiling. Add a drop of eucalyptus oil for a cooling boost that opens airways. If your nose feels dry, common in winter or air-conditioned office dab, a tiny bit of coconut oil inside each nostril with a clean finger. Blow gently, one nostril at a time, to avoid sinus pressure. 1 minute, total time. 3 minutes, the ROI, enormous. Research shows proper underarm hygiene cuts bacterial load by 90%, reducing inflammation and boosting lymphatic flow which means more energy for your brain and body. Nasal rinsing slashes sinus infection risk by 60% per a Cochrane review and improves oxygen delivery, sharpening focus, and sleep quality. You'll feel lighter, clearer, and bonus smell better without drowning in cologne. I saw this firsthand with a Neuralink coder, Priya 62, who battled chronic sinusitis and underarm rashes. She adopted my protocol, plus a prototype XAI air purifier that monitors VOCs around her workstation. 2 weeks later, her headaches were gone, her code was cleaner, and she was sleeping like a baby. Now, let's push the envelope. At XAI, we're reimagining hygiene as a smart system. We're developing a wearable armpit patch that tracks lymph node activity, alerting you to inflammation before it spikes. For noses, we're testing a neural linked inhaler that adjusts saline delivery based on real-time air quality data. Think Starlink for your sinuses. And we're exploring microbiome-friendly soaps that use CRISPR-edited enzymes to target only harmful bacteria, leaving your skin's good guys intact. This is Hygiene 2.0, designed for a world where clean air and water aren't guaranteed. You don't need my gadgets yet. A washcloth, saline spray, and a towel get you 80% of the way. But you've got to be relentless. Make it as automatic as checking your Tesla app. Watch for red flags, armpit lumps, persistent rashes, or nasal crusting could signal infection or allergies. I ignored a stuffy nose once, thinking it was just dust from a gigafactory tour. Turned out to be a low-grade infection that tanked my REM sleep for weeks. A quick rinse and a doctor's check fixed it, but it taught me your firewalls are only as strong as your maintenance. Why am I hammering this? Because your armpits and nose aren't just about staying fresh, they're about staying alive. They're your shield against a world that's throwing viruses, smog, and stress at you 24/7. They're what keep your immune system lean and your brain firing on all cylinders. When I cleared my nose and armpits, I wasn't just breathing better, I was thinking better, dreaming bigger, pushing harder. You want to build the next Tesla, explore the stars, or just enjoy a clear-headed hike with your kids? It starts here. Next up, your belly button, the tiniest detail with the biggest ripple effects. It's not just lint central, it's a sensor for your body's hidden threats. And yeah, I've got a story about how a funky navel nearly derailed an XAI breakthrough. Buckle up, we're almost at the finish line. We've supercharged your tongue to sharpen your mind, fortified your feet to anchor your mission, and locked down your armpits and nose as your body's firewalls. Now we're zeroing in on the smallest, sneakiest player in your health ecosystem, your belly button. Yes, that tiny, often ignored divot in your midsection. You might think it's just a lint trap or a quirky scar from your umbilical days, but I'm here to flip that script. Your belly button is a Sensora quiet whistleblower that can flag infections, signal systemic issues, and remind you that the smallest details drive the biggest outcomes. I'm Musk Doctor, and in this final chapter, I'm going to show you how 3 minutes a day on this overlooked spot paired with a relentless commitment to your body's system scan propel you toward a longer, bolder life, ready to tackle Earth's chaos or Mars's frontier. Let's strip this down to first principles. Your belly button, or navel, is a unique microenvironment. It's a warm, sheltered nook where sweat, dead skin, and bacteria love to party, especially if you've got a deep or innie navel or if you carry extra weight. Studies, like one from Nature in 2012, found over 2,300 bacterial species in the average navel, some harmless, others itching to cause trouble. Left unchecked, this microbial hotspot can spark infections, irritation, or even signal deeper issues like diabetes or immune dysfunction. Why? Because your belly button skin is thin, vascular, and connected to your abdominal cavity stone's throw from vital organs. A 2019 Journal of Clinical Microbiology case study reported naval infections escalating to abscesses in immunocompromised patients requiring surgery. That's not a trivial bug, that's a system alert, like a red light on a Starship dashboard. This isn't just theory, it's personal. A while back, I was grinding through an XAI project, pushing our AI to crack protein folding for drug discovery. Late nights, takeout, barely showering. One evening, I caught a whiff of something off like a faint, musty funk I couldn't pin down. I checked my shirt, my chair, even my keyboard. Nothing. Then, mid-code review, I scratched my stomach and noticed my belly button felt weird. Damp, slightly red, and definitely not fresh. I'd been so focused on algorithms, I'd let this tiny spot slide quick rinses, no inspection, just autopilot neglect. A swab and a microscope later, yes, I'm that nerd, I confirmed Bacterial overgrowth teetering on infection. If I hadn't caught it, that could have sidelined me fever, pain, maybe a hospital visit, all because I ignored a half-inch patch of skin. That was my gut check moment. If I'm going to re-engineer humanity's future, I can't let the smallest details derail me. Let's talk stakes. Your belly button isn't just a hygiene footnote, it's a metaphor for precision. In my world, a single misaligned bolt can crash a rocket, a single line of bad code can stall a Tesla. Your body's the same. Small oversights, like a dirty navel, can ripple into big problems, infections that tax your immune system, inflammation that fogs your brain, or worse, complications for those with diabetes or weakened defenses. The American Journal of Infection Control says minor skin infections, like those from neglected navels, account for 3 million ER visits annually in the US, costing $5 billion. That's not just a health hit, it's a productivity killer. But flip that script, and the upside is huge. A clean navel keeps your system lean, your energy high, and your focus locked on what matters, whether it's coding the next big thing or dancing at your grandkid's wedding. Now, let's get to the how. Cleaning your belly button isn't about spa days or overpriced cream sets, about surgical precision, like calibrating a Neuralink electrode. Here's the protocol, honed from science and my own experiments. Wash with focus. In the shower, use warm water around 90 degrees Fahrenheit, soften the skin. Dip a clean washcloth or cotton swab in mild, fragrance-free soap. Think Dove or Cetaphil. Gently swirl inside and around your navel, reaching all creases. If it's deep or hairy, use a swab for precision, like cleaning a rocket sensor port. Rinse thoroughly, soap residue invites bacteria. Takes 1 minute. Dry with obsession. A damp navel is a bacterial playground, like a wet circuit board sparking shorts. Pat dry with a clean, soft towel. Consider a dedicated one for hygiene hotspots. For deep navels, use a cotton swab to wick out moisture. Let it air out for 30 seconds before dressing. 30 seconds. Inspect like a hawk. Once a day, check your navel for redness, discharge, or odd smells. Use a small mirror or your phone's selfie mode. If you've got a piercing, clean around it with extra care. Piercings are bacterial magnets. I'm prototyping an XAI skin scanner that flags anomalies via AI, but your eyes are enough for now. 30 seconds. Protect, don't pamper. If your navel's prone to dryness, dab a tiny bit of coconut oil with a clean swab to prevent cracks are bacterial highways. Skip lotions or powders. They trap moisture and clog pores. Takes 30 seconds. Total time, 2 to 3 minutes. The payoff? You're cutting infection risk by 80% per dermatology reports and keeping your immune system free to fight bigger battles. You'll feel fresher, lighter, and trust me, that subtle confidence boost when you know every detail's dialed in is real. I saw this with an XAI researcher, Tom, 68, who always smelled slightly off despite showers. He was skeptical but tried my navel routine. 2 weeks later, his wife thanked May his mystery funk was gone, and he was tackling simulations with new vigor. Now, let's go full Musk. At XAI, we're not just cleaning navels, we're building health's future. Imagine a smart bandage for your navel, embedded with microsensors that monitor bacterial load and ping your phone if trouble's brewing, like, alert, staphylococcus spike, clean now. Pair it with a Neuralink chip, and you could get real-time feedback on abdominal inflammation, catching issues before they hit your organs. We're also exploring bioengineered probiotics, sprayed like a Tesla paint job, to colonize your navel with friendly bacteria that crowd out the bad guys. This is hygiene as a platform, like Starlink for your skin. You don't need my tech yet. A swab, soap, and a towel are your MVP minimum viable product. But you've got to be relentless, like a SpaceX engineer prepping for launch. Watch for red flags, persistent redness, itching, or pain, especially if you're diabetic or have a piercing. I ignored a sore navel once, thinking it was just irritation from a tight belt. Turned out to be a low-grade infection that needed antibiotics. A quick fix, but it taught me details aren't trivial, they're everything. Here's the bigger picture. Your belly button is a microcosm of your approach to life. Nail the small stuff, and you're building a system that scales health, productivity, impact. Ignore it, and you're inviting chaos, like a buggy algorithm crashing a supercomputer. This isn't just about hygiene, it's about ownership. You're the CEO of your body, the engineer of your future. Every choice, every swipe of a swab shapes your trajectory. I've seen it in my work. A single tweak in a Tesla battery cell doubled its range. A single adjustment in a Starship thruster saved a mission. Your navel's that tweak, tiny lever for epic gains. Let's wrap this up. Over these 5 parts, we've hacked your body's hidden nodes: tongue, feet, armpits, nose, belly button. Each takes 3 minutes, max, but together, they're a software update for your biology, cutting inflammation, boosting immunity, sharpening your brain, and adding years to your clock. This isn't about living forever, it's about living fully, with the energy to build, dream, and push humanity forward. At SpaceX, we don't launch without a checklist. At Tesla, we don't ship without testing. Your body deserves the same rigor. My challenge to you: start tonight. Grab a scraper, a washcloth, a saline spray, a swab. Commit to these 5 habits for 2 weeks. Track your energy, your focus, your vibe. I guarantee you'll feel the difference, like a Tesla going from 60 to 100% charge. And if you're game, take it further. At XAI, we're building tools to make health as seamless as autopilot sensors, AI, neural interfaces. Join us, experiment, share your data, because the future isn't just rockets and AI. It's you, optimized, ready to colonize the stars. One last story. When I fixed my navel, I wasn't just killing bacteria. I was reclaiming control. That night, I cracked a protein folding problem that had stumped us for weeks. Coincidence? Maybe. But I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in systems. Your body's a system. Own it, engineer it, and let's build a future where no detail, no navel, no dream is too small to matter. Thanks for riding with me. Now, go clean your belly button and change the world.